My name is Lemone. I am 41 years old. I live in sprawling port city of Guangzhou. I've been married for 17 years. I have 3 sons, a family shop, and a husband who is now packing his suitcase to go and marry another woman. This morning, I washed rice, cleaned the windows, and fed the chickens like always. I also ironed the shirt he's now folding into his suitcase. I did all of this while holding something heavy inside me. Not a real object, just a feeling I can't name. The suitcase sits open on our bed. It's old and brown, with one broken wheel and a scratch on the side from our first trip to his cousin's wedding. He brought it when he came to marry me, all those years ago. Now he's taking it again, but this time it's not for a family visit. He is leaving to marry someone else, a second wife, 19 years old. Pretty, of course, full of new laughter and untouched by life's long days. He met her once. That was enough. The matchmaker said she had good skin and a kind smile. He remembered her eyes. I know this because he told his mother, not me. He is standing on the other side of the room, quiet, folding clothes as if this is nothing special, as if this is a normal day. I don't speak. I don't trust my voice. It might come out wrong, too small, too loud, too real. Instead, I press down the pillow I've been holding, then lift the cover from it. It smells like old sleep. It needs washing. Everything in this house needs washing. Maybe if I scrub the walls, wipe every floor, wash all the fabric, the past will feel cleaner. Maybe even my heart. The scent of his cologne floats in the air, soft and warm. He only wears it on important days. I remember the last time clearly. Our wedding. He looked uncomfortable in the fancy suit his aunt gave him. The cologne was strong that day, too sharp. I said nothing then. I say nothing now. But the smell brings something back. A memory of that day when I was still hopeful, still young, still foolish. I watch him lift one of his shirts and fold it again, more carefully this time. He moves slowly, but not nervously. There is no fear in his hands. He knows what he is doing. And I know too. Everyone knows. That's how it is in our town. A man with money and sons can take another wife. People will praise him, say it's a good sign, say he is lucky, a rich man, a successful man. No one asks the first wife what she thinks. No one ever has. I think of saying something, anything. I want to ask, do you still see me? Do you know what you're doing to me? But my mouth stays closed. Instead, I tell myself, Lemone, you are a strong woman. You are not weak. You don't beg. You keep moving. You take care of the house. That's what my mother taught me. That's what all the women in our family do. We live with quiet hearts and busy hands. He walks to the bed and places another folded shirt next to the others. Then he pauses and looks around the room. His eyes move slowly, like he's trying to remember something. I speak. finally. I tell him that I already prepared everything he needs. There's no more room in the suitcase. He doesn't respond at first. Then he says, without looking at me, that the suitcase has lasted a long time. I say yes, but it's still small. My voice is steady, not kind, not cold, just steady. I leave the bed and go to the window. The light outside is soft. There are clothes hanging to dry. My second son's school shirt. My youngest socks. I folded them yesterday, and I'll fold them again tomorrow. Life continues, whether I want it or not. I hear the sound of the suitcase closing behind me, a final dull sound. My heart makes a small jump. He walks to the corner and places the suitcase beside the door. We still haven't talked about the new wife. We both know why he's leaving, but the words are heavy. He doesn't want to say them. I don't want to hear them. I stare at the floor. I don't want to cry. I won't cry. I try to think about something simple, like what to cook for lunch. Maybe noodles with egg and green onion. Something soft. Something easy to swallow. Then I hear my own voice, quiet and dry. I ask if she is waiting for him. The new girl. He answers after a long silence, saying yes, the ceremony starts soon. He sounds tired, or maybe bored. I can't tell. I nod and begin taking the pillow covers off the bed. They need washing. The gesture feels important, like I'm wiping away a part of the day I don't want to carry. Inside, something inside me is shaking. I want to grab his shirt, cry into it, ask him to stay. I want to promise him more love, more sons, more work. I want to say I'll change. I'll be sweeter. I'll wear nicer clothes. I'll put oil in my hair like I did when we first met. But I don't say any of it. I keep my hands busy, my mouth still, my heart quiet. That's how we survive. He says he'll be back in 2 days, maybe sooner. I nod again. This time, I don't answer. I wonder if he sees me, if he remembers that I cooked for him every night, washed his clothes, gave him children, cleaned his shop. I wonder if he remembers who I was before I became invisible. I tell him I'll take care of the shop while he's gone. When he returns with her, I'll have some jobs ready for her to do. He seems pleased. Business talk makes him feel safe. He says it's good I'm thinking about work. He has many mouths to feed, he says. That's his answer to everything. He walks to the door. Before leaving, he turns and says, "This is a great day for our family." Not everyone is rich enough to have 2 wives, he adds. I look up at him. I don't reply. He says there will be more sons to carry the family name. He smiles like it's good news. "Husband," I say softly. He stops, looks at me briefly. I want to say something more. I don't know what. I want to change everything in one sentence. But he checks his watch and says he is late. And that is all. He doesn't want to hear my feelings. He never has. He's afraid of the answers. I once thought we would grow old together and speak openly, but now I know that silence is safer for both of us. As he opens the door, I say one last thing. Your suitcase is too old. You need a new one. He nods. Grateful that I didn't ask him to stay. Grateful I didn't cry. Maybe I will get a new one after all, he says. Then he is gone, and I am alone in the room, holding a pillow in my hands, pressing it against my chest. Outside, the clothes swing in the breeze. Inside, the silence feels heavier than the suitcase he took with him. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. The silence after he left was different from the quiet before. Before, it was full of things unsaid. Now, it was empty. Even the birds outside seemed to stop singing. I stood still in the room for a long time. My hands were still on the pillow. I didn't cry. I didn't sit. I didn't move. I just stood there, holding my breath, waiting for the feeling to pass. But it didn't. Instead, it became heavier. I walked to the window and opened it a little. The wind came in, soft and cool. I could smell rice cooking from a neighbor's home. A dog barked in the distance. Life outside the house continued like nothing had changed. But something had. The air inside our home had shifted. The space he left behind didn't feel free. It felt broken. The shop downstairs was quiet. I had left it closed today, saying I needed time to clean and organize. That was not a lie, but it wasn't the full truth either. I needed space to think, or maybe to feel. I didn't know what I needed anymore. I went to the kitchen and began washing vegetables without thinking. My hands moved on their own, peeling, chopping, washing. Work had always helped me forget. But today, even the sound of water running couldn't stop the noise in my head. I kept seeing his face when he picked up the suitcase. Not sad, not excited, just calm, as if this was the most natural thing in the world. In the afternoon, my sister-in-law came to visit. She brought sweet buns and soft words. She smiled too much. She talked about the new girl and how lucky our family was. Not everyone gets to see their brother marry twice, she said. I smiled and nodded, poured her tea, and served the buns. I listened like a good woman should. I didn't say what I felt. I didn't say I wanted to throw the buns out the window. She asked if I was preparing the house for the new wife's arrival. I said yes. That was what she wanted to hear. That was what everyone expected. I told her I would teach the girl to clean the shop, to cook the meals, to care for the boys. She said that was wise. "You're such a strong woman, Lin Mei," she said. "No wonder my brother chose you first." After she left, I cleaned the cups and sat at the table. Her words stayed with me, but not in the way she wanted. What use was being the first if it meant being forgotten now? What use was strength if no one saw your pain? That night, I sat on the balcony and watched the streetlights turn on, one by one. My sons were sleeping. The smallest one had asked where Baba went. I said he had to travel for business. It wasn't a full lie, but it felt worse than one. I looked up at the sky and tried to remember a time when I felt loved, truly loved. Not just respected, not just useful, but chosen. When I was 19, I had soft hands and shiny hair. I used to hum songs while I cooked. My neighbors said I was a lucky girl to marry a man with a shop. I believed them. On my wedding day, I wore a red dress and smiled until my cheeks hurt. He looked at me once that day and said I looked clean, not beautiful, not lovely, clean. And I told myself that was enough. Over the years, I told myself many things were enough. A quiet evening, a safe roof, sons who were healthy, a husband who came home. Even if he never asked how I felt, even if we never shared a joke, even if our only connection was daily life. I didn't hate him. I still don't. I think that's the hardest part. If I hated him, maybe it would be easier. But I don't. I understand him too well. He doesn't know how to show love. He only knows how to provide. That is how he was raised. That is what makes him feel like a man. But today, he became something else. Today, he became a man who chose another woman while still expecting me to welcome her, to train her, to live beside her, and still call myself lucky. In the days that followed, I began preparing the back room for the girl. I cleared space in the closet. I washed the sheets twice. I placed a small mirror near the bed. I found a soft blanket for her feet. With every item I touched, I wondered if she would see me as a teacher or an enemy. Would she thank me or replace me? Would my sons call her mother when I wasn't looking? At night, I dreamed of the suitcase. It was always full, but I could never see what was inside. I would open it again and again, but the contents stayed hidden. I woke up sweating, heart racing. I would sit in the dark and listen to the silence. It no longer felt like mine. The silence now belonged to something else, something colder. I started avoiding the mirror. I didn't want to see the woman I had become. I remembered the girl I once was, how she smiled, how she hoped. I missed her. She would not have accepted this life so quietly. She would have asked questions, but I buried her long ago. On the third morning, I received a call from the matchmaker. She said the ceremony had gone well, that the girl had looked lovely, that the groom had smiled. I said thank you. She asked if I was feeling proud. I said yes. She didn't hear the stone in my throat. She only heard the answer she wanted. I sat by the window with my tea and stared at the gate. Any day now they would return. The man I married and the girl he had chosen. They would walk through that gate together, and I would welcome them. I would hand her a clean towel. I would serve the tea. I would smile. because that is what I was taught to do. But inside me, something was changing. Not loudly, not suddenly, but slowly, like a seed cracking open in dry soil. And for the first time in years, I didn't know what would grow from it. They returned on a Thursday morning. The light outside was gray, soft with early rain. I had opened the shop early that day, not because I needed customers, but because I didn't want to be upstairs when they arrived. I arranged the vegetables more carefully than usual. I wiped the counter twice. My hands were busy, but my ears were listening for the sound of his shoes on the steps. I didn't know how I would feel when I saw them. I had tried to prepare my heart, but hearts don't always listen. When I finally heard the door open, I didn't turn around right away. I waited. I heard voices, his, low and calm, hers, lighter, softer. I closed my eyes. I could picture them standing there together. He would be carrying the same old suitcase. She would be wearing something light in color, something soft. I turned around and greeted them with a small smile. She looked exactly how I expected, young, round-faced, a little nervous. Her hands were folded in front of her. She greeted me with respect. Her voice shook just a little. I told her she could call me Big Sister if she wanted. She nodded, thankful. He looked between us and seemed satisfied. I showed her the back room I had prepared. She touched the blanket I had folded and said it was soft. I nodded. He placed the suitcase beside the bed and said he needed to go open the shop. I followed him with my eyes as he left the room. He didn't look back. Not even once. That evening, I made a bigger dinner than usual. My sons were quiet but polite. They looked at the new wife with wide eyes. She served them rice carefully, asking each boy how much he wanted. She tried to smile at me. I smiled back. But something in me had gone quiet, and it stayed that way for the whole meal. After dinner, she offered to help clean. I showed her how I liked the bowls stacked, how the floor should be swept. I taught her gently, without emotion. She followed every instruction without question. Later that night, when I lay in bed alone, I wondered what she felt. Did she miss her own mother? Did she wonder if I hated her? But I didn't hate her. How could I? She didn't make the decision. He did. In the days that followed, life became a pattern again. She took over some of my chores. I let her. I needed the time to think. I spent longer hours in the shop, speaking to customers, watching people come and go. Some of them looked at me with pity, others with curiosity. No one asked me how I was. That was fine. I wouldn't have known what to say anyway. One evening, after the new wife had gone to bed and the house was quiet, he came into the kitchen where I was washing rice. He stood there for a long time before speaking. Then he said, "She's trying very hard." I nodded. He said nothing more. He didn't ask how I felt. He didn't say thank you. He just stood there and watched me wash the rice until I told him the water was ready for boiling. Then he left. I didn't expect more from him. I never had. But I realized something that night. I was tired of being silent. The next morning, I took a walk after breakfast. I told the new wife to mind the shop for an hour. She agreed happily. The streets were quiet. I walked without a plan. My legs moved slowly, my thoughts even slower. I passed by the small tea house where I had first met him many years ago. It was still there, though the paint had faded. I sat down on a wooden bench and looked at the sky. It was blue, but a soft blue, like something unsure of itself. I thought about what it meant to be a wife, a mother, a woman like me. I had followed every rule. I had done everything right. And still, here I was, forgotten in my own life. I thought about the young woman now sleeping under my roof. She would learn the same lessons. Her beauty would fade too. One day, her hands would become rough like mine. And maybe then she would sit on a bench like this, wondering what happened to the girl she used to be. When I returned home, she was sweeping the shop. She smiled at me. I looked at her, really looked at her. I saw the way she was trying. I saw the nervous kindness in her face. She wasn't my enemy. She was just another woman doing what she had to do. Like me. That night, I took out a piece of paper and wrote down some words. I wrote a list of things I loved before I became a wife. Singing, red ribbons, warm tea with ginger. I hadn't done any of those things in years. I folded the paper and placed it inside the drawer where I kept the money box. The next morning, I added another word, myself. The change wasn't loud. It wasn't big, but it was real. I didn't stop being a wife. I didn't leave, but I began to remember who I was beneath the silence. I began to smile more, not for others, but for myself. I bought a small bottle of perfume, the first one in my life. I wore it under my samfu and didn't tell anyone. It was mine. One evening, months later, I saw the old suitcase again. It was in the corner of our room, torn at the edges. He said maybe it was time to get a new one. I said nothing, only nodded. But inside I thought, yes, it is time for something new. And for the first time in a long time, I believed it.